Aarini had lived most of her life believing destiny was something that always passed her by. At 25, she had already heard doctors whisper the word infertile more times than she could count. A label that settled on her heart like a lifelong shadow. She told herself she had accepted it, told the world she was strong. But every time she saw a child laugh on the street, or a mother straighten her toddler's collar, a quiet ache bloomed inside her. Still, she built a life simple, hardworking, invisible, far away from the noise of the powerful and the wealthy. She never imagined her world would collide with someone like Ruhan Zhen, the youngest billionaire CEO in Asia, the man the business world called the silent storm. Ruhan never cared for rumors about his cold heart or his ruthless decisions. He lived inside a fortress of schedules, strategies, and responsibilities, a life where people were assets, not emotions. His empire and innovations was the symbol of modern power, and he, at the center of it all, was feared, admired, and untouchable. But even a man like him had nights when the silence of success felt too heavy. Nights when he sat alone in his penthouse, watching city lights shimmer like stars he could never reach. The night that brought Aarini and Ruhan together wasn't magical in its beginning, just accidental, unexpected, and strangely fated. Aarini had been working as a temporary guest coordinator at a charity gala hosted by the Zhen Foundation, unaware that the event would twist her life in ways she could never predict. She had only been hired for one night, but she needed the money, and she carried herself with her usual quiet dignity, unaware that the CEO everyone whispered about would even notice her existence. But Ruhan noticed her. In a hall full of glittering dresses and polished egos, she was the only one who didn't look like she belonged, yet the only one who looked real. Her eyes carried a soft determination. Her posture careful, her voice steady even when rich guests snapped at her. Something about her made him pause, not in attraction at first, but in curiosity. He rarely felt curiosity. Their first accidental conversation happened when she bumped into him outside the ballroom while rushing to escort a late VIP. She expected anger, maybe condescension. But Ruhan simply studied her with those unreadable eyes. "You're new," he said in that calm, deep tone she had only ever heard in interviews online. She apologized, flustered, but he shook his head, more intrigued by her sincerity than the collision itself. He noticed things, her worn-out shoes, her trembling fingers she tried to hide, and the exhaustion behind her smile. It was the first time in years he felt his attention pulled towards someone without logic. The night took another turn when a minor power glitch caused chaos at the event. Aarini had panicked when guests began shouting. Ruhan, appearing beside her without warning, asked where is the backup control panel. They worked together, her guiding him stabilizing the situation with calm authority. They weren't supposed to talk afterward, but somehow they ended up in a quiet hallway after the chaos settled, sharing a rare moment of stillness. Aarini, nervous yet strangely comfortable, thanked him. He only said, "You did well," but the softness in his voice startled even him. What happened later had no logical explanation. Maybe it was the adrenaline, maybe loneliness from both sides, or fate weaving threads neither understood. Ruhan offered her a drink as thanks for her effort. She hesitated but accepted. One drink became another conversation, and another became a moment where their guards fell lower than they ever should have. He saw the vulnerability she tried to hide. She saw the wariness he masked with power. Their worlds, different as earth and sky, met in a fragile intersection. Two people who never expected warmth ended up finding it in each other. That night they crossed boundaries. No wild passion, no reckless heat. Just two lonely souls seeking comfort in each other's presence. They shared vulnerability, honesty, broken pieces of their lives. They fell asleep in each other's arms, something neither had done in years. When morning light entered the room, both woke in quiet shock. Aarini panicked, apologizing, stumbling for her dignity, insisting it was a mistake. Ruhan surprisingly didn't stop her. He wanted to. She left before sunrise, leaving only the faint scent of jasmine behind. Ruhan told himself it was better this way. He didn't have space for emotional entanglements. Aarini convinced herself he would forget her by lunchtime. But destiny wasn't done. Weeks passed. Aarini tried to bury the memory, throwing herself into her small job at the floral shop. But when she began feeling dizzy, nauseous, and overwhelmingly emotional, fear struck her. She went to a clinic not expecting miracles, not expecting anything except a reconfirmation of what she had heard all her life. Yet when the doctor returned with the test results, their expression held disbelief. "You're pregnant," the doctor said gently, as if afraid the words might shatter her. Aarini froze. She laughed, shook her head, insisted it wasn't possible. But the doctor repeated it. "You're pregnant with multiples, not just one, babies." Her world flipped, cracked open, and filled with light and fear all at once. She cried, shaking, confused, overwhelmed, because the impossible had happened to her. She carried life inside her, something she had once begged the universe for. But with joy came panic. What would she tell Ruhan? Would he believe her? Would he think she was trapping him? Would he want the children? Would he take them away? She spent nights crying, hands over her stomach, promising her unborn baby she would protect them, even if she had a different plan again. One afternoon, as she walked out of the clinic after a routine check, she found a black luxury car waiting outside. A man in a suit stepped out. Miss Aarini, Mr. Ruhan Zhen would like to speak with you. Her heart nearly stopped. She considered running, but her trembling legs refused to move. She allowed herself to be taken to Ruhan's office, which was even more intimidating than she imagined. Glass walls, cold colors, power radiating from every surface. When he walked in, she felt her breath catch. He looked the same, elegant, controlled, unreadable, but there was a faint intensity in his eyes she hadn't seen before. "We need to talk," he said softly. She expected anger, denial, accusations. But instead he offered her a seat and waited patiently, as if sensing her fear. When she finally whispered the truth, that she was pregnant, that the doctors had told her she might never conceive, but somehow she had, and that the babies were his, Ruhan didn't react the way she had rehearsed in her nightmares. He didn't shout. He didn't accuse her. He didn't doubt her. He simply went silent, his expression shifting from shock to something unreadable, something deep. He asked for proof, not out of suspicion, but responsibility. She showed the reports. He stared at them longer than necessary. When he finally looked up, his voice was surprisingly gentle. "You should have told me earlier. I would never have abandoned you." She broke down crying, and Ruhan, shocked by his own emotions, reached out and held her trembling hands. Something unspoken passed between them, fragile connection turning into something stronger. From that day, Ruhan became someone no one had ever seen before. He arranged private doctor security, a comfortable home, but Aarini refused to move into his mansion. She didn't want to become an ornament in his world. Ruhan didn't force her. Instead, he visited her every day. Sometimes he sat silently while she rested. Sometimes he brought herbal soups recommended by Korean nutritionists. Sometimes he just listened to the baby's heartbeat with trembling awe. He began to soften, changing in ways even he didn't recognize. His employees whispered that their cold CEO was smiling more. His board noticed he defended family policies with new passion, and all the while Aarini watched him with cautious wonder, unable to believe that the man who once seemed carved from marble now held her hand at checkups with gentle concern. But love is never simple. Aarini struggled with insecurity. Why would a billionaire like him choose a woman like her? She feared becoming a burden. Ruhan, on the other hand, feared losing her, feared that she might disappear again like she had that morning after their night together. They had misunderstandings, emotional distance, moments of hurt, but every time the babies anchored them back together. Late one evening during a quiet walk, Ruhan finally confessed what he had never told anyone. "I've lived my life chasing power because I thought it would protect me from pain. But meeting you and knowing our children are coming, it scares me more than anything, because for the first time I have something to lose." Aarini felt her heart crack open. She gently placed his hand on her growing belly and whispered, "You're not going to lose us." Ruhan pulled her into an embrace, hesitant, trembling, yet full of meaning. Months passed, filled with growth, fear, love, and unexpected tenderness. The night Aarini went into labor, Ruhan panicked more than anyone. He held her hand in the delivery room, whispering encouragement in Chinese, Korean, Hindi, every language he knew, as tears slipped down his cold mask of a face. When the cries of two healthy babies filled the room, Ruhan broke down completely, holding them with shaking hands, whispering, "My miracles are miracles." Aarini watched him, her heart overflowing. She had lived believing she would never be a mother, never be loved deeply. Yet here she was, holding her babies, watching a billionaire CEO once feared, now completely undone, kiss their tiny foreheads with devotion. Their future was uncertain, their world still different. They still had insecurities to fight, families to face, society to confront. But in that moment, with their twins sleeping in their arms and dawn rising outside the hospital window, one truth settled between them: Love had found them. Miracles had chosen them, and destiny, after running from them for so long, finally embraced them both. Their journey had only begun.